My name is Victor Olusegun Aigbogun. I am a pastor, I am a food scientist, and I am moved this morning in my spirit to just talk about this situation that's going on in the United States, and my heart goes out to all the great families and parents, mother, father, sons, daughters, of the people who have lost their life in what we call the police brutality. And my heart also goes out to President Barack Obama, who happens to be the President of the United States at this critical time. He's supposed to be the best positioned to understand the situation. And I have no doubt in my heart that he will be the man that will end up to resolve some of these issues. But here is the problem. The problem is police brutality is rooted in nations all across the world, not in the United States alone. And the first thing that crossed my mind as I continue to ponder over this issue is this great scripture, the prayer of Solomon, when he said something like this in the book of 1 Kings chapter 3 and in verse 9, and therefore give your heart, give your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil, for who is able to judge these great people of yours? Complex situations requires complex principles to resolve complex situations. Police brutality in the United States is a typical example of the areas of segregation, discrimination, and separation that exist within mankind. Number one, that separation starts that not all police in the United States are bad people, so you can start the separation. Then you can go down to the fact that history has proven that man has never found himself the same. And therefore, Israel will never consider themselves by any means or of the same caliber in the eyes of God with any other nations because of the covenant that they have with God. That mentality, that understanding gives them a clear way of behavior that makes them see themselves uniquely different from every other nation. So man cannot always have to come to this place where we believe we are all equal, the same, and on these levels. Even the liberty principles of the United States have not been able to eradicate or remove the differences that exist between mankind. The problem here for me is, after spending so many years in the United States and have been in the process of encountering the police at different times of my youthful age, I understand American police in the sense that individually they have their egos. But this is the problem. The problem is this. It doesn't matter. It's a problem for the United States to think investing in big governments and bringing in all these other committees that are going to get paid and all these other individuals that's going to have to take advantage of this situation, serving in a committee, getting paid big money just to resolve an issue that will never get resolved. It's fallacy. It's actually incredibly stupid to even think that the White House have to think about, we want to put a committee, we want to put another commission, and all of these things are nonsense. What's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. There are 3 problems here, and those problems need to be resolved before you can stop police brutality, not in the United States only. Let me tell you the first example of a typical police brutality you will see happens in segregation and discrimination. In Nigeria, Nigerian police would not take bribes from the rich and the powerful. Why? Because they can't approach them for bribes. Because those people will circumvent the law by their influence. So a typical police cannot ask the wife of of the commissioner of police or the assistant inspector general sitting behind a car in a roadblock, he will not ask her or ask him for a bribe. A typical Nigerian police will ask a very poor driver who is struggling to survive, who has this car just to be able to feed his family, and because he belongs to that low class, he become a platform of exploitation by Nigerian police. That is discrimination. The fact that he thinks in his mind that these are the class of people that I can take bribe from tells you without any doubt that he has that segregation in his mind. The American police don't just go after people with the intention of killing them, shooting Brown, or killing someone in Ferguson, or the most appalling one that happened in New York. No, they don't do that. They don't go with that intention. They go out with one intention in mind, that when I approach a black guy, no matter what he looks like, how he looks like, depending on the neighborhood and the place where I'm approaching him, if I'm white and he is black, one of us have to kill one or the other first. This did not happen yesterday. The black people never thought of the fact that we position ourselves in the United States for them to see this not from the discrimination principles of segregation that happens in the times of race discrimination. It didn't come from the slavery. No, that is fallacy. Police brutality against the black people in America did not come from that. Every situation within a dispensation of the season in America, police brutality has originated from a particular situation. Police brutality in the season of slavery is quite different. The black people were not empowered. They don't carry guns. They don't have anything to do with being able to defend themselves in the slave trade time. So that brutality at that time was rooted in the mind of a master over a servant. But this season's brutality that you have been seeing in the past 10, 15, 20 years, a post-liberty and racial discrimination elimination in America is not rooted in what the police coined to be discrimination. It's rooted in one thing only, and that thing is the fact that a white man understands that since the days of gangbanging, that a typical black person is armed at any point in time in the United States in black neighborhood, and when I approach or encounter him, he has the privilege to kill me first or I kill him first. This thinking is what has really got itself rooted in the head of a lot of our white policemen in the United States who go out there with the mind of, I got to go back to my family alive. But what they miss though, this is it. What they missed is they misunderstood the fact that time is changing. And when black people do not position themselves in a place of understanding that the white man coming after you as a police officer has that in his mind, and then they don't always put themselves in a position of safety. So when you approach me as a police officer and you are white, in my days in the United States, this is what I do. As you approach me, and I know you are a white police officer, I know what you are thinking in your mind. I am a black guy sitting in a Lexus car. It's okay. That's not why you're going to be aggressive against me. The reason why you're going to be aggressive against me is the fact that there is a possibility that I have a gun in that car. Number two, that car has been bought out of a criminal gang, drug, or one kind of thing that is illegal, and therefore I will not have a right mind sitting in a Lexus car. I am still a criminal as far as he is concerned. That thing rooted in their head is what is driving their behavior. So this is what I do. If a police officer approaches me as a black guy, and I know he's a white guy, the first thing I do is overcome his thinking of the fact that I am an aggressive black guy who is likely to be carrying a gun. I start by calling him sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Even though when I'm right, I use the sir 25 times before he even asks me what my name is. Immediately, I overcome his thinking of safety. He eventually become a little bit comfortable. Just look at what happened in New York without excusing any wrong thing or accepting the fact that the police arrived because they are wrong to have killed any person for such a trivial crime. I mean, but look at the picture one more time and think about it. Why the altercation? You're selling loose cigarettes. Fine. All right. You want to arrest me? Here are my hands. Put your handcuffs because you know you are black in the midst of 6 white police officers who, for one reason, if you ever come on the street to sell loose cigarette, you are not less than a criminal. There is possibility that you have a gun, even though we can't see any evidences that you have a gun. But guns by gangbangers don't get put in their hands. It's hidden some way, good enough to be used when they need to use it. So why? What do we need to do here? Black people, we need to educate our children of the fact that those who started gang banging, the black people that started the criminal behavior of gang banging and drug selling and that ruined our neighborhoods and destroyed the neighborhoods of the United States for the black people have created this scenario. It's not slave trade. I'm telling you now, stop thinking about slave trade is gone with black people. We have the White House housing a black man as the president. Are you kidding me? This is not what that is. What this is a police officer who is white, having a uniform, goes out to protect people, wants to go home to his family safe. What you need to do is educate your children to understand the fact that when they encounter a white police officer, this is his thinking. He's thinking you are black, and there's a possibility that you kill him first. And therefore, he wants to go to his family safe. Therefore, prove by submitting completely, so that the rule of law could take its place. It doesn't matter if he then arrest you. I tell you, I've gotten away with a lot of bad stuff approaching the police because of the way I approached him. He come to his senses. He understands I'm a gentleman. I'm just a black guy. I'm not a gangbanger. He understands because I respected him. I honored him. I call him sir all I can because I don't want to be killed. Look, I am a pastor, a father. I am a professional scientist. I am not a novice. All I want you to understand about what I'm saying is I'm not blaming the black people, not blaming the white people. I'm not blaming the government. All I'm saying is let's get down to the root of the issue. So don't spend money of the government, the taxpayers' money, trying to put some crazy commission in place. Let's start with our families. Black people, go home and educate your children. Let them know this is not going to change. These white men, police officers are not going to change their thinking. You're not going to stop them from it. You're going to have to arrest their mind every time they encounter you. That's your responsibility. I am sorry if I've offended you by my word, but this is what I'm thinking in my mind. I pray for this family that they will find comfort. And I pray that the United States will find peace. I pray that the world will know God. And His knowledge will direct us to overcome the nuisances of life that is currently in place in this dispensation and season. And that God will allow us to walk through it into the place of peace. Amen.